Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers. The last text my mother ever sent me arrived 3 minutes after the hospital called to say she was gone. There's something you need to know about her. Check the blue envelope in my desk. I'm sorry I waited this long. I read it standing in the hospital hallway, the smell of antiseptic sharp in my nose, machine still beeping faintly behind the closed door where her body lay. About her. At the time I thought grief was distorting everything. My mother had never fully trusted my wife Lena. She'd always been polite, always smiling, but there had been a distance between them I could never explain. I told myself the message meant nothing. A dying woman's confusion, regret, fear. I didn't open the blue envelope until after the funeral. The house felt wrong when I walked in that evening. Too quiet, too clean. Like someone had prepared it for a stranger instead of a husband coming home after burying his mother. Lena stood in the kitchen, still in the black dress she'd worn to the service. Her eyes looked swollen but not from crying, from not sleeping. "You're home," she said softly. I nodded, setting my keys down. My hands were trembling though I wasn't cold. "I found the envelope," I told her. For a moment nothing moved. Even the refrigerator hum seemed to fade. Then she closed her eyes. That was the first crack. Not confusion. Not curiosity. Recognition. Inside the envelope was a single photograph and a folded document. The photo showed Lena, years younger, maybe early 20s, standing beside a man I didn't recognize. They were close. Too close to be casual. His hand rested on her stomach. She looked pregnant. The document was a birth certificate. Not recent. 10 years old. The child's last name wasn't mine. "I was going to tell you," Lena whispered now, gripping the edge of the counter so tightly her knuckles turned white. "I just didn't know how anymore." My chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped something out and left the shape behind. "We've been married 8 years, I said. My voice sounded calm, distant, like it belonged to someone else in the room. "You had a child before we met. And you never told me." Tears slid down her face, silent and steady. "I gave her up for adoption. I was young. Alone. My parents forced it. I thought, if I buried it I could start over. Start over. With me. On top of a life I never knew existed. I wanted to be angry, furious, loud, decisive. Instead I just felt tired. The kind of tired that settles into your bones and refuses to leave." "Why did my mother know?" I asked. Lena's silence answered before her words did. "She found out last year," she said. "She saw papers when she was helping me organize the attic. She begged me to tell you. I promised I would. But you didn't." "No." Memories began rearranging themselves in my head, like furniture in a dark room. The nights Lena cried in the shower. The way she avoided baby aisles in stores. Her quiet panic whenever someone mentioned children. I had thought it was grief from our own failed attempts. Miscarriages. Doctor visits. Empty ultrasounds. Now every moment felt rewritten. "Is the child?" My throat tightened. "Is she okay?" Lena nodded quickly. "I check sometimes. Not enough to interfere. Just to know she's safe." A strange relief flickered through me, immediately followed by something sharper. "You built a whole secret life beside our marriage," I said. "And let me believe I knew you." "I was ashamed," she whispered. And then the longer I waited, the more impossible it felt. "I was afraid you'd leave." I laughed softly, though nothing was funny. "You don't get to hide the truth to keep someone from leaving. That's not love. That's fear dressed up as trust." We stood there for a long time, the space between us filled with everything unsaid over 8 years. "I do love you," Lena said finally. "None of this was about not loving you." "I know," I said. And that was the worst part. I believed her. Love wasn't the problem. Truth was. That night, we sat on opposite ends of the couch like polite strangers. At some point she fell asleep, exhaustion pulling her under. I watched her breathing in the dim light and tried to match the woman I loved with the one I had just met. Both were real. Both were hers. But I didn't know which one belonged to me anymore. Around midnight, I picked up my phone and opened my mother's last message again. "I'm sorry I waited this long." For the first time I understood. She hadn't been trying to hurt me. She'd been trying to give me a choice. In the morning, sunlight filled the kitchen with a softness that felt undeserved. Lena stood there quietly, as if waiting for a verdict. I don't know what happens next, I told her. I don't know if I can rebuild trust that was never fully there. She nodded, tears already forming. I'll accept whatever you decide. For a long moment I just looked at her, the woman I married, the stranger I was meeting, the person who was somehow both. Grief sat beside love inside my chest, neither willing to move. I'm not deciding today, I said finally. But from now on, no more secrets. Even if the truth costs us everything. She let out a shaky breath, like someone surfacing after being underwater too long. And for the first time since the funeral, the house felt honest in its silence. Not healed, not whole, but real. Sometimes that's where rebuilding begins.